Coleman from Southampton. I run a business called Fork Handle Revival. We specialise in vintage, retro and antiques. We buy, we sell, and most importantly we restore.
How did you come across antiques? Do you remember where you were when you found your interest in them?
My first memory was when I was a lad. There was a guy down the bottom of our road had this really cool car. It was a Mark 1 Cortina, and I thought it was the best looking car on the road. And so when I was old enough to own one, I could only afford one that needed a little work on it, and I started to do it up. And I liked the idea of just taking little nuts and bolts and parts of the car and making them like they were brand new again, but keeping some of that feel, some of that look, some of that smell of the sort of, at the time, the 25-year-old car had. Thank you.
Basically, I just want to just ask about this tool shed, really. Just kind of go. I just thought it was quite interesting because we talk about antiques and we'll talk about just like the cheap end of things back there.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to kind of get your opinions on it and just just walk me through it, really.
The shed came about. We enjoyed restoring simple things that generally get left and forgotten, and a lot of them have got a lot of date. So this, for example, is probably one of the more special things. So I guess most people have heard of Stanley Tools. Stanley, the man, F.H. Stanley, was American. And this is one of the first things that he sold, is levels, not screwdrivers and everything else. And this is what he produced. So I mean, this is dated, what we put this down, 1862. And this was just left in a shed. I just find things that, it's just there to level things up. Put the brass, the detail in there. And just the feel of it, that somebody has used this for over 100 years, and this just gets dumped in a shed.
Yeah.
And this would be thrown in a skip.
What a waste.
So these are things like these. We tend to pick up for relatively nothing. Yeah, I don't like it when people restore things so that it's brand new. That's impossible to do. You can't make it look like that, and it just looks plastic. I like the feel. I love things with social history. There's those guys that do antiques, whether it be fashion, Fabergé or Chippendale or whatever else like that. Fork Handle's passion is. I like to think we're kind of like the Ford Focus of the business, really. So we like the social side, the most popular side. Everyone wants a Ford Focus as the best-selling car, so we want the best-selling antiques.
Antiques affected your everyday life?
You've touched on a bit of a deep one there. So I worked for the council and had what I thought was my perfect job. I was the sponsorship and advertising officer. I developed the whole role and the business and made a lot of money for the council. And through cutbacks and redundancy, I lost my job. But at the time I was suffering with depression, and I was also abusing alcohol. And I started restoring a motorbike because I thought that was affordable in the garage, and that was the only place I felt safe, was whilst I was restoring things. I couldn't face people, I didn't trust people, and I had no self-worth whatsoever through that kind of breakdown. But in restoring pieces that I picked up here and there, or things that I had in the garage, my self-worth grew because I'd made these other pieces new. I don't know whether there's a link to that, but I could also sell them, and I could put some money back into the house and you know, pay some bills, and it grew from there. While I was very lucky that I touched on a passion and a skill that I didn't know I had, it was born out of necessity, really.
Well, the next thing I was just kind of interesting was the key box over there. I just
Yeah.
thought if you could run me through that.
This is relatively new find. We've been engaged by the business that was Debenhams in Southampton. Debenhams was originally Edwin Jones in Southampton. They went out of business a couple of years ago, and we were lucky enough to be allowed to clear the building out. And in the basement, this is something that would have gone in a skip, so we found it. The glass had been smashed. There was big padlocks had been bolted across the outsides.
This has all been refurbished.
Yeah, and I just saw these hooks and these numbers and just thought, you know, that's something that survived. You know, I want to give it a go. Let's take it back to the workshop. And down in the bottom of here was just full of glass, and just carefully took the glass out bit by bit. You know, obviously for safety reasons, we were wearing gloves, mask, crash helmet, and everything else. And we found all the original key tags and the story that comes with this. So back in 1959, when the Edwin Jones first opened, this cabinet was in the basement, and if you wanted the keys to your department, you went and saw the guy in the basement to get the keys for your area. I mean, we love a piece that's got a story, and even if you know, we can buy the most random of things, and still you find a story. I mean, I bought a frame last week, and I took the 4 pieces of the frame apart, and you know, they would have been made by a carpenter, not by a machine, and so you have to put those frames back together in the same way. So you number it because the joints will only match that original joint. But to take that frame apart and find that the original maker did the same thing, and you see his pencil marks from 100 years ago, yeah, that's a bit special. You are genuinely stepping in the footsteps of craftsmen.
Thanks very much again. And really, that's about it. I just want to ask if there's any closing notes, anything that I don't know if you've got anything else to say, really.
No, I think it's just, and it's not just antiques. It's, you know, it touches on a lot of things. Buy what you want to buy. Buy because you like it. Do some research first to make sure you're not being mugged off. If you want something that's old, get it checked out to make sure it is old and it is genuine. But generally, if you see something and you like it and the price is right, then do that for you. Buy it for you. Don't worry what everybody else says. Don't worry what the telly says or what a magazine says. Buy it for you because you like it.